How is everyone? It's good to be here, and it's really an honor. I guess to address the fun fact that Jared mentioned, all my kids do have an R in their name, but that's only because they share my last name of Turner. So they have two R's. I guess my daughter's name is Reese, and she has an extra one, so that's good. Yeah, it's such an honor to be here, to be a part of this community. Everyone's really been so wonderful, and I think that's one of the great reasons. Like I really love being a part of it, and I'm really humbled to be here to speak, and also to be a part of like the many great speakers that are here today. I sit back in awe listening to what others have to say. So to stand up here is really unique. I know I only have a certain amount of time, so let's make sure I hit through everything I hope to talk about. And the first thing is I do want to thank Jared. This was Jared last year. I gave him an Army Math Frisbee. There is a lot of Frisbee that goes on at the United States Military Academy at West Point, and the Army Math Department Frisbee team seems to be a year in, year out winner. So I got to pat myself on the back for that. So let's see. My purpose today is to talk through a little bit about what West Point is and how we use R. And what I want to do that, I'm going to talk about a couple things. First will be who we are as West Point, what we do, and then the way we apply it in our own learning. So first of all, what is West Point? West Point's a 4-year university where we train cadets both in academic, military, and physically in order to be leaders of our nation for the United States Army. So we have very high standards for admission, very high standards, both character development and all through these pillars. And also, once you graduate West Point, at the end of it, you leave with a bachelor's degree in some field, but also you're commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Army. So in each one of these pictures kind of represents, we want scholar, we want warrior, and we want athlete. And I include the football picture because we went through a really dry spell for a long time of not being that good. And it really started back when I graduated in 2007. We lost the Navy like 13 or 14 years in a row. But we're on a 2-year winning streak, and things are trending up, so that's good. Sean talked about time series analysis. I don't know how this applies, but I think we've turned a corner. So that's good. So who are the faculty at West Point? This is just kind of a snippet of some of my peers. We exist where there's 77 of us that teach cadets. About 30% are civilians. All the civilians have a PhD. The military faculty are split between PhD and master's, people with master's degrees, and I'm one of those. And I list these peers here, and there's a few more. If they end up watching this video, I'm going to feel kind of bad that I didn't include them, but these are the ones, my friends, who we kind of collaborate a lot together using R, as we've kind of embraced it. And part of the luckiness, I guess, of it is we all, R started getting really big when most of us are in grad school, so we've been able to kind of leverage it and move forward into applying it to the curriculum and here at West Point. All right, cool. So who am I? I am a 2007 graduate of West Point. I commissioned as a second lieutenant into the Corps of Engineers, where I served for about 8 years with trips to Hawaii, Missouri, White Sands, Georgia, New York, Ohio, a lot of different places, and I've loved it. I've loved it all. And I've had short pit stops in both Iraq and Afghanistan, which were some really growing experiences for me. But after those 7 years, I applied to teach at West Point. They accepted me, conditional that I completed a master's degree at The Ohio State University. So now, oh, here we go. Yeah, right there, JD, thanks. Yeah, thanks. So I would also like to point out, we at West Point finally beat Navy after the 13, 14-year dry spell. The first year I showed up to Ohio State, we won the national championship in football. So should you, I see some Buckeyes around. That's right, yeah, that's right, IO. So, if your team's on a dry spell, maybe you could use me at your PhD program or something someday. I'm for hire, I guess. But when that was complete, I showed up at West Point, where I now teach statistics, introductory statistics, as a core course in one of the electives. So let's see. during my growth as an R user, I read the book Doing Data Science, and it had a quote that really stuck with me, and it seems to continue to be true as I learn more and more. And it's something like this, paraphrase: being a data scientist is where you learn more and more about more and more until you essentially know nothing about it. Is that how it is? Know nothing about everything. And I feel like the more I know and the longer I'm in this community, I seem to know a lot of nothing. So what's great to be here is to learn and rub shoulders with a lot of you guys. And with that, Jared did mention a little bit, West Point has a few R heroes of people in this community who have come out to talk with our cadets, and it's great. Jared, Emily, JD, and D-Rob are both coming out here in a week. D-Rob's coming out in a week, but everyone else has been to West Point to talk and really had a big impact on not only our faculty and awareness about the power that R has, but also impact our cadets and kind of stroke some of their passions here. Now, I know a lot of the guys that I have up here and some other guys that have done a lot of work in the art community really have helped us to do a lot of stuff that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So a saying comes to mind, I'm sure most of you have heard it: you're standing on the shoulders of giants, right? I feel a lot of times, though, it feels more like this, where you're like holding on for dear life as you're progressing in your experience. So the tough thing with it is, at the risk of selling myself short, and I'm just going to briefly talk about this, is when you're in the presence of so many people that are good at so many things, you can feel kind of like an imposter. So a lot of times you feel like a cat trying to be a penguin. And you kind of blend in, just keep your mouth shut and smile. But what I do have to say on this note is the people that I just had up here on the slide right here, and the whole community have actually never make people feel that way. So the newcomers in here have room to grow, and it helps really grow the community, and it's really helped us at West Point. So we're in debt to you for that. So thank you very much. All right, so where does Army Math fit in the curriculum at West Point, being a 4-year education? Everything in the top row of green, all the green's the core courses at West Point. The top row there are the 4 math courses, the 4 core math courses. It's a modeling course, 2 calculus, and a probability and statistics course. Now, in the operations research curriculum, all the yellow is math courses, and all the red is systems engineering. But the more important question is, where does R fit in all this? And we really have involved R heavily in these courses, not only the introductory probability and statistics course, but in many of the OR courses that you see there. I tried different colors to highlight that, and blue is about as good as it could get. I could try pink, but I couldn't just bring myself to it. Black clashed. So hopefully you can see the highlight. But West Point uses R in 5 different ways. In course organization, we also have an outreach program of science, technology, engineering, and math, where we go out across the country to proselytize math, if you will, across the country. We use it as a teaching tool. We help it make decisions, inform decision-making in the Army, and also we use it to improve the learning experience. I'm going to go through examples of each one of these. First things first, we use it as a course organization tool. And as you can see here on this slide, nice, it comes up perfect. This is an example of a course syllabus that we use for the course I teach, MA 256. It's the Advanced Introduction to Statistics course, and it's in our Markdown. So our cadets can come in here, and let me see if I can pull this off. Here it is. Our cadets can come in here, and I can click through. There's block 1, so they can see, for lesson 1, what am I supposed to do? And it gives them videos to go to, suggested problems, and WebAssign, whatnot. And actually, if I want to know what graded events I have coming up, they can go through all this to include all the way down here at the bottom, supplementary material to help them, with R. Let me see. I got to get back over here on this side. Don't want to mess this up. Click. There we go. All right. Now we have a STEM outreach program where we go across the country and we involve middle schoolers in math, and we try to provide it in an inspirational way. And one of the things that we do, and I'm going to have to refresh my Shiny app that I have here on this screen, is, here we go. We bring them in, and say there's 40 or so elementary school folks, and we create a bunch of nodes. And then we kind of poll the audience, like, hey, which one of you live on this street? And when we do that, we can come in here and we can add edges to show like, hey, person 1 and 6 or 1 and 5 are together for some reason. They show some sort of relationship. So we're able to build this interactively with them on the spot, and we use Shiny to help us do that. So it's really been a big hit with the middle schoolers because then they can see the similarities and jump into adjacency matrices and all sort of things to hopefully inspire this type of learning as they grow up and get older. All right, back over here. Okay. Now on day 1, this seems kind of an easy concept, but I bring my cadets in and I use Shiny to kind of wow them. I tell them this is all built in R. And what we do is we input the cadet's hometown. So when they introduce themselves to the class, they say, hey, I'm from Kerrville, Texas. I click the search button, and it brings up each one of their hometowns. As you can see, as it goes out online, scrapes their population, and then it begins to update the mean and median and the trimmed mean. So I'm able on lesson 1 to talk about, hey, what's more representative of the sample? Is it the mean? Is it the median, the trimmed mean? And we always have a few that kind of throw us off because you have all those outliers. But what's fun, too, is to show this map of where all the cadets live. And I have to update the map here before it works. And you can see where all the cadets in one of my sections live. Notice we're got quite a few Texans in there. I happen to be from Texas, so I'm very, very proud that we have that type of representation. But all these Northeasterners, I don't know what's up with you guys. All right, so another class that I teach is sabermetrics. It's the study of baseball, at least statistics as it relates to baseball, and that doesn't look good. Let's see if I can make it work. And of course, they all need to be reloaded. Well, they may all not work now. Oh, here we go. Good news. All right, so what I've done for my course is I've offered bonus points to anyone who can beat me at my version of fantasy baseball. So they go out and they select 10 players at large. They can share them. And based off the amount of total bases they get minus strikeouts, they can get a score. So what this does is it really generates interest in modeling future base production for different athletes. Now, I am going to kind of tell on myself as I show this list of who's winning by total score. You'll notice my name, Dusty Turner, is right at the bottom, which is really kind of embarrassing since I came up with the game. There was a flaw in the model that I built in that I inadvertently I added strikeouts instead of subtracting them. So the fact that I'm actually beating anyone is no small miracle. Shame on me, right? Okay. And also, we get into more fun things where we teach the central limit theorem. So this is the tool that we pass out to the cadets where they can see, as sample size increases, what happens to the distribution of your mean. And it illustrates, sample size gets larger, the distribution of X bar approaches normal, which is really fun. For the cadets to get involved with. We have different distributions too. That one's binomial. The gamma distribution is a lot of fun. I'll just drag it out. There we go. Neat. All right. All right. So another tool that we've worked with too, we also not only teach with R, but we like to help make decisions inside the academy. And surprising, in the military that at least in the Army, sometimes we value who can pick up the heaviest rucksack and run into the wall the hardest, and who can do the most push-ups. But surprisingly, we sometimes try to inform our decisions with a little bit of analysis. And what you'll see here is the admissions department sent a request for us to do, and I'm not going to be able to zoom in just based off how it works, but to do some analysis on certain demographics, which I'm not going to go into detail about. It might not load. But you can kind of see the representation of different demographics by West Point across the Army, and it's clearly not going to load. So there it is. And so you can see by congressional district how the representation is, and I can kind of zoom in. So this helps our admissions department, make decisions based off of the representation. All right. And then the last example I'm going to show is operational support. So Hurricane Maria, September last year, hit in Puerto Rico. So we sent a task force down to try and try to help the folks in Puerto Rico. And General Buchanan, the 3-star general in charge of the command, wanted to know as quickly as possible, hey, how is the population reacting to our relief efforts? So using a lot of the tools, holding on to the neck of the giraffe, I applied a lot of the stuff that D-Rob has his book about, and we created a Shiny app to interact with tweets as they were sent from Puerto Rico, and apply a sentiment tool to see like the positive and negative connotations. And we did more than just this, but essentially what it showed is like over time and when certain events happen, what was the public's reaction to that? And you can see each tweet is represented by a little orange dot, and you can click on a tweet and see what said person. And this one has a sentiment score of 0. So I guess he was neutral about whatever he was talking about in this experience. All right, so quickly, what I want to talk about last is how we improve the cadet education experience. Essentially, the problem statement, oh, I went too far. Darn, there's my joke. Which is another joke in of itself. So essentially, there's a long-standing tradition at West Point where we think that if you group cadets by likability in a classroom, not likability like I like you, but similar ability, you will learn better. So effectively, these cadets, if they're smart cadet in the glasses versus silly cadet, they don't learn as well together, as opposed to these cadets learn well together and these cadets learn well together. So what's great about our course is we have, I got to give credit to these two handsome-looking gentlemen who helped me on this project, Major Collins and Major Ployce. But our course consists of about 500 students. We have 11 instructors and 17 cadets per classroom. So this is pretty structured. The person who runs this course agreed to let us split up half the cadets by ability and half the cadets are sectioned at random, and then afterwards compare the difference. And I think we exist in a unique environment that we can do that and hopefully inform learning at other universities. So what do I have over here? So essentially what we did, we developed a model to predict how well cadets do. We split them up into a control and treatment group, and then we examined the experiment and then evaluated the results. Now, I'm going to kind of blow through this pretty quickly. Essentially what we evaluated them on was inputs into the model were your previous performance at West Point and also the track that you take through the academy. Because we have the Jedi track, if you come in with a strong background, all the way down to the rock math, where it's like adding and subtracting and things like that, which clearly I need help with. So we use the carrot package. I like Max. I've seen this carrot up there a time or two. We did some data preparation, and then we fit 3 different models, a linear model, a lasso, and a random forest. And when we shook it all out, you can see the relative variable importance all really essentially was your core average and your previous math skill, which shouldn't be all that surprising. So and you can see the performance of each one of these models. We ensembled all of them in kind of a simple way just by taking the predictions and dividing by 3, since we had 3 models, and then we split you up in that way. So the top 17 cadets went to the top class, and next 17 all the way on down the ways. And then we had our random section. Now the results. As you can tell on the predicted axis versus the actual grade, you are colored by, if you were randomly assigned, you're colored pinkish, and you were blue or green if you're by ability group. And to the naked eye, it looks like it doesn't really matter who you're with. You're just kind of going to do what you were going to do, which are, I think someone earlier talked about having negative results. So this is some negative results, right? And you can see here, actually, we might have even hurt you by putting you with people of likability, because your mean average, your mean grade was lower than if you were sectioned by, if you were in ability group section, you did worse than if you were at random. I got that backwards. If you were put at random, you did better than if you were sectioned by ability. There you go. And the confidence interval includes 0, which means, yeah, we can't really tell if there's a difference between the two of you. Now, what if we looked at it by ability level? What you see side by side here is if you were in an ability group and at the top, or if you were randomly selected and at the top, and how well did you do versus your peers. and it looks kind of the same thing, where you didn't really perform better no matter what group that you were placed in. Now, we could keep going around and around. Yes, here's the pairwise comparisons. And as you can see, ability level 8 comes up significantly different, but without a Bonferroni correction or anything like that, I would say that this isn't part of the, the false positive that should be expected. Now, I could keep going, right? And I could hack this one way after another to try to get some results out of this. But essentially, we've had enough p-hacking here. I think it's pretty conclusive that you're going to learn how you're going to learn no matter who you're with, which is kind of comforting as a learner and lets you off the hook as an instructor as well. So it's really my honor to be here. I'm kind of embarrassed because I had a different version up here where I had a slide of a run I did this morning, and the run I ran in the shape of an R in the New York City streets. And it must have dropped out, or I opened an old version, my fault. But it's truly an honor to speak to you today. Thank you so much. Thank you for this community. Thank you, Jared. And I look forward to chatting with you afterwards. Thank you. And I'm off. Okay.